And welcome to Just to Serve TV. It is how the best in infotainment for true crime. Hi, Linda Kenny
Yeah.
Bond.
Hi, Michael Biden. You're not Michael Biden. You're my Michael
One of
Bryant.
the Michaels.
No,
I
you
don't
know
know.
what? I was kidding somebody yesterday. Actually, someone was kidding me, and said, "You have two husbands. You have two Michael husbands. You have Michael Bryan, who is your streaming husband, and you have your live-in husband, Michael Biden. And it's really hard to keep because, as you know, yesterday I accidentally texted you
I
instead of
occasionally
texting
get some
Michael.
stray texts that I just dismiss as this was clearly not for me. Yeah. Now, if I could get my wife Lisa to change her name to Linda, it would all the symbiosis would be perfect. Right?
Perfect.
So, hey, what we want to do today is just very briefly. I've been pouring through these records, and I'm not going to bore people putting them on the screen or anything. In part because I'm not looking to dox anybody. These have phone numbers, obviously. This is the phone log
Who's
from Donna
record?
Adelson. Donna
Oh,
Adelson,
Donna, Adelson
and this
phone
is
line.
from the day between the day of her conviction, 9/4/2025, and yesterday, I think it was day before. Anyway, virtually up to the date that they handed me these records, and I was just curious who she's talking to, who she's having visits with. Well, first of all, let's get the easy one out of the way. Number of visitors in the 3 weeks, well, almost a month now since she's been convicted. Zero.
Zero,
Not a
really?
soul.
Ooh, wow,
Not a soul. And
wow.
yeah, sad and interesting. Not like I'm sad for
Well,
her,
let's
but
face
I'm
it.
just
Let's
in
put it this
general.
way: one of her sons is in jail
Yeah,
in
he's
the
out of the mix.
Dakotas for murder, and
Hmm.
the daughter is hasn't talked to her in years and has immunity from testify
And
against
it
her.
and is potentially going to be sharing some space with her at some point.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
Wendy, who knows? Excuse me. And of course, Rob is estranged and lives in the New
right.
York area now, right? Does he live in New
He's
York?
I think he's in New York City. I think he's an
Yeah,
ENT in New York City. Yes,
yeah.
he was in
So
Albany, but between the trial, between the time of the pre-testimony last year and the trial this year, I believe he testified last year. He was in Albany. This year testified in New York.
that sounds right. And so, of course, who's missing from this mix? Harvey. Where's Harvey? Harvey. Anybody seen? No, Harvey has not been there. No visitors. So we skip past that. We go to the call logs. In the 3.5 weeks that I've covered with these logs, 292 total phone calls. 292.
292 phone
Yeah,
calls. Wow.
total phone calls. What else she got to do? And she's in every room that is listed as the location is. It's always the same. It is medical room 520. That's her place. Medical room 520.
520. Well, it's really interesting the 292 phone calls because Sakaris, which I think has the contract for Florida, I'm not quite sure. They charge a lot of money for these inmate phone calls, and a lot of the inmates can't make them. All right,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's what happens. If you recall, when she was being threatened, one of the
that's
inmates
right.
wanted money put in her phone account so she could make phone calls. So Donna can do it because she has the money to do it.
Exactly.
Putting Donna aside, it really is an unfair situation for families that can't afford to fund the phone calls. And
That's
a
true.
lot of jails now are saying you don't even have in-person visits. You're going to have, you know, Zoom visits or whatever.
Maybe she can't have visits because she's in that direct
The
observation
medical,
scenario. That
right? The
that that
medical,
could be. It could be not
yeah.
for lack of trying, right? So I went through all of these phone calls, and again, 292. That's how many were attempted. 205 of them were completed. Okay, for whatever reason, a number of them there was no connection. Nobody answered. Maybe nobody. Um,
Accepted the revert charge. I don't know.
Accepted. Well, sometimes the reverse charges. We hear that all the time. You hear that
Right,
recording.
right.
We have a call from Leon County Jail from Donna Adelson. And then and then
Will you
the
accept the charges?
yes,
Because when the inmate can't afford to make the calls, right?
correct. So that for whatever reason, a lot of incompletes. But again, 205 of these total calls. That left 87 that were unaccounted for. I'm just giving you my process as I went through these.
Okay.
62 of those were to her attorneys. And those are free, by the way. If you're ever in lockup, the calls to your attorneys are free. And
Sure.
I reverse looked up that number, and it came up empty. Like it's one of the sometimes you just don't get a hit when you do a reverse lookup on phone
Right.
numbers.
Right.
And so I'm assuming it was a law firm. That's just my best guess. It's not a number that I recognize. There was a number that did come up interestingly to Mr. Zellman. One call to Mr. Zellman. over that time, that same period of time. And that was just a few days ago. Let me see if I can find that one, the exact date I'll give you for that one. But yeah, one, and of course, for those who may recall, Zellman was the, I don't know, co-lead attorney. I'm not quite sure how to describe him.
Quite frankly, in my opinion, the better attorney there. And he should have been lead, and we would have seen, I think, in my opinion, a lot more. Not that it would have made a difference, but you wouldn't have had all that kind of like hanging around and discussing and all that type of stuff. I've been on teams a lot, as everyone knows, and you have to function as one. You know, when you're in that courtroom, you function as a single person, and it didn't look that way to me.
Yeah, it as I said before during the trial, it looked like they were deferring to one another, like nobody was really the lead, and they continually had to talk about that. Anyway, so the length of that call, which was just on the 26th of September, 0, that was an incomplete call. So her attorney either was ghosting her or was just unable to talk. But that was one attempted call to her co-trial counsel. Okay, then that left a handful of these, strays, and those are the ones I went and really tried to look up. There were a couple of calls to a Lori Mintz in Corpus Christi, Dr. Michael Mintz, a friend of the family, and so there were some calls to that person, and then there were a couple of calls to people that I think our viewers and followers of the Donna Adelson trial will recall. Let me just show you at least one of them. And I think you'll recall, and just imagine getting a call from your good friend, right? Who you have been very close to, and in fact, in this case, provided some important testimony for the defense at the time of trial. This is Richard, and I like this.
Good afternoon, sir. Please raise your right hand.
Chagrin. Come on. His name is Chagrin, but nobody would want their last name pronounced Chagrin because it's Chagrin. So he's Mr. Chagrin.
Do you swear?
I give credit for people that will come up and her friends, though, and will come up and testify.
Oh,
for
sure.
a trial like this, because they get doxxed, they get all sorts of comments, and
No,
I give them
gutsy.
credit.
Remember, he talked about the whole trip to Vietnam.
Good afternoon, sir. Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Richard Chagrin.
Mr. Chagrin, how do you know my client, Donna Adelson?
I met them 38 years ago. They're best friends. The wife was the president and CEO of a nonprofit. I was chairman of the board.
And you grew close with Donna and her husband, Harvey Adelson?
When I first met my wife 36 years ago, we formed a gourmet club, and they were part of the gourmet club. And we met probably every 2 to 3 months. And then as the years progressed, we became friendlier and went on a number of vacations with them.
Okay, you say gourmet club.
Gourmet dinners at people's houses.
Now, are you married, sir?
I am.
Okay, and what does your wife do for a living?
She's an attorney.
What kind of attorney?
My specialty is real estate, corporate, and bankruptcy.
Estate planning?
Yes.
Now, did you speak with Donna or Harvey on the day that Charlie was convicted?
No.
How about the next day?
Yes.
Without telling us what they said, did you and your wife go to their residence in Miami?
Yes.
Okay. And when you got there, can you describe Donna for us?
She was distraught.
And what about Harvey?
Harvey was like in shock.
Now, prior to this, you indicated that you had traveled with my client and her husband. Did you travel extensively on your own?
Well, we went on cruises, and then we did there was 13 of us, did 2 weeks in Israel.
Were you somewhat savvier than they when it comes to booking travel?
Oh yeah, I've been to 75 countries around the world.
Okay. And were you asked to assist them in any way on November 7th of 2023?
Yes.
And specifically, what were you asked to do?
Initially, I helped Donna with the visa. And then when we were done applying for the visa, Donna took Susan to show her the dress that she bought for Lincoln's bar mitzvah. And then she asked Harvey to sit down with me and make plane reservations.
When you sat down to assist with the reservations, what did you discover?
The ironic thing was that the round trip was a fraction more than one way. And I suggested, since you don't know when you're coming back until sometime in January, book a one way. And I remember commenting to Harvey, I said, I'd be willing to bet it's cheaper to fly from Vietnam to the United States than it is from the United States to Vietnam.
So this guy was important on a number of fronts. Obviously the whole trip to Vietnam, it wasn't this planned escape with no extradition. I do think it's interesting. He just said, I checked the prices and the round trip was only slightly more than the one way. Okay. Now, normally that's an incentive to buy a round trip, right?
Right.
But he spun that as, well, you don't even know when you're coming back. So it's probably cheaper to buy a one way from Vietnam than it would be for me. Well, yeah, that's true. Probably is. But you still have far more money spent going one way twice than round trip. That was his testimony.
Yeah.
But what these jurors probably understood and were annoyed by is these are folks traveling the world, spending money that these folks on the jury, remember, they were primarily pretty young. This is a foreign concept to them, this worldwide travel, this expensive lifestyle. And so while he talks about it kind of nonchalantly, I think it makes an impact on the jury.
Except that I think the younger people today, they want to travel. They want experiences. They don't want things. They don't want to be weighted down with like heavy furniture and things. They want experiences. So maybe they're looking forward to, hey, yeah, this is pretty savvy, and you got to look at prices, and maybe if you save a few bucks here and there, I don't expect maybe they don't expect somebody older to be able to function on the internet like that. I don't know. I mean, it could have the other effect too.
It could.
I just think that it's the timing, right? It's the timing.
Here's the only part of the cross that remember, he's gone on and on about how she's this classic Jewish grandmother, right?
Right. Right.
But today you're saying you suggested the one-way flight, right?
I just offered my suggestion.
Okay. And you said that Donna Adelson is a typical Jewish grandmother. Does a typical Jewish grandmother suggest dressing her grandchildren up in Nazi uniforms?
Not to my knowledge.
No further questions.
Boom.
So,
yeah. And thank you very much. And so that was one of the folks who had two conversations with her the middle of September. One was 23 minutes long, one was 16, and they were right on the heels of one another. So for whatever reason, one call ended and the other began. And I wondered, and I'm going to say the same thing about another friend we're going to hear from here in just a moment. What kind of conversation is that? When your friend is, convicted, unlikely to really see the light of day. I mean, you're trying to spin it as positively, I guess, as you can. That,
Right.
Hang in there. There's going to be appeals. Your attorneys believe you have some strong grounds for appeal. And I mean, have you met any new people? How's the food? I mean, I don't know. That's just a painful conversation.
Yeah, well, how you surviving? But again, whatever we think of Donna Adelson, I mean, I kind of appreciate the fact that whoever her friends were, he didn't look like he was shading his testimony at all.
No.
He just, this is it. This is the conversation, and we've been friends for 38 years, and I'm just here to tell you about it, and that's it.
Yeah, and when you cross-examine somebody like that, of course, when you have good stuff to work with, like Georgia Kappelman did, you
Right.
go right in for that. But otherwise, it's all about, well, you didn't spend every minute of every day with the person, right?
Right.
You think you know them, but did you do this, and this? Did you know this, and this? Things that really only the most intimate of friends would know, and you generally out a friend that testifies on your behalf by doing just that.
And then when he gets cross-examined on that very same point, he says no. I mean, he agrees with her.
No, that whole Nazi uniform thing. Nope, that's news to me.
Yep, that's
yeah.
So
okay. So the next person. Let's see. I'm trying to put this in perspective time-wise.
Interesting though that there's this call to him. Was it to thank him for his testimony? Was to say, hey, what else?
That's a good question. I don't know. And before that, because I'm looking at the login backwards here, and this was literally the day after the conviction, she speaks to. Let me double check my lighting. My lighting system here is a little bit off. Let me check this. Whoa, that's bright. It was 4 days after the conviction that she has this conversation with this woman. I think you'll remember. I feel like I'm doing This Is Your Life, Donna Adelson. Let's see. Here's a voice from your past. Okay. Look familiar, this woman? This
Yes.
is Miss Ann Cunningham. Let's see.
Name and then spell it for the court.
My
Hey,
name is Ann Elizabeth Cunningham.
This conversation she had with her on the phone from the jail log was what, 4 days after the conviction?
yes, 4 days after.
Cunningham.
Thank you. Ms. Cunningham, you're aware why we're here today, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I don't want your address, but where do you live?
I live in Naples, Florida,
Okay.
and New Jersey.
Okay. So you spend some time in New Jersey during the year and some time in the state of Florida.
That is correct.
Why do I think it's
And,
6 months and
tell us,
one
what
day
did
in
you
the
do?
state of
Are
Florida?
you
Yeah, for those who don't know the snowbird trick, if you stay 6 months in a day, your residence state is Florida, which of course is tremendous for tax purposes.
retired?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And what did you do for your career?
I was a teacher, special education teacher.
Okay. Do you know Donna Adelson?
Yes, I do.
And how long have you known Miss Adelson?
Since 2009.
Okay. And how is it that the two of you met?
Excuse me.
How did you meet?
We met when my life partner and I drove to Florida and arrived on Christmas Eve, and the only place that was open was a Chinese restaurant, and he bit into a spare rib and cracked his tooth.
Okay.
So he actually went to high school with Harvey, and
Okay.
Harvey was a practicing dentist at the time.
Okay. And what is his name?
Ronald Gutterson.
Okay. And so he cracked his tooth, and what happened?
And he called a mutual friend from high school also and said, who do we know in South Florida who can help me? And our friend mentioned Harvey's name, and we called him, and he came in the next day to treat Ronnie.
Okay. And when you said they went to high school together, that wasn't in Florida, right?
No, it was in Manhattan, New York.
Okay. All right. Very good. So he was able to take care of Ronald?
Yes, he made a special trip. It was Christmas Day to come in and care for him.
Okay. And then how did that lead to you meeting Mrs. Adelson?
When Ron returned, he said that he had re-met a former high school classmate of his, and that he was a very lovely man, and that he thought it would be very nice if maybe we had dinner together with his wife.
And did you do that?
We did.
Okay. And from there, did you develop a strong friendship?
We did. We all got along very well and developed a friendship.
Okay. And when you spent your time in Florida, was that Naples at that point?
No, it was in Southeast Florida,
Okay.
Aventura.
All right. And was that closer to where the Adelsons were living at that time?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So did you spend quite a bit of time together?
We did.
Okay. Socializing?
We did.
Did you travel together at all?
Quite often.
Okay. So you had a lot of contact over the years.
Very much so.
Okay. Did you have the opportunity to speak to her on the telephone when you were away in New Jersey?
Absolutely.
Okay. Would you say you had regular contact throughout?
Regular contact.
Okay. I'm going to tell you, this nice young lady over here, she's typing every word that we're saying. And I have a bad habit of talking over people, and she will shoot me if I do that. So I'm going to
And I
try.
have a bad habit of speaking quickly.
So
Maybe shoot you. Let me just stop that.
Yeah, I think we get the
Maybe
picture.
shoot you is not a good terminology
Yeah,
to
I know.
use here.
Yeah. Remember that? I remember that was a big kind of a rumble through the courtroom when that phrase was uttered. You know, she's a nice woman. You know, she meets in this weird serendipitous way. She's reconnected through her husband to the Adelson family, and now she's testifying in a murder trial. I mean, you know, not exactly how she probably penciled out her golden years. So anyway, here's the deal with that contact. It was a series of 4 calls beginning on the 9th, and this is all in the morning. 28 minutes they spoke. Then there were 2 calls that were not complete, and then about an hour later, a 22-minute call with Ms. Cunningham as well. And that was it. So no contact, at least in the following weeks, after that initial barrage of calls 4 or 5 days after the conviction.
So, tea leaf reader, What
She-
did they talk about for 28 minutes?
Yeah.
And then Adelson calls her back. What did they talk about for 22
It's
minutes?
funny you should ask those questions because
Mm.
I have in the works those calls. So when we get
Okay.
them, we'll review them and see if they're sharing recipes or how to make a shiv out of a toothbrush or whatever the tips may be that she's able to offer. There were a couple of other folks. I did the reverse lookups and I'd get a name and it didn't click, and I tried to Google the research between Donna Adelson and that name, and it come up. So I may or may not have called a couple of these numbers, and
Well, that's going to be interesting.
just to see if you get if it's a business or one lady it was a lady, I'm assuming, just answered hello, and so of course I asked to see if is Dave there. And I'm not sure, but I thought she said Dave's not here, man. No. So those were wrong numbers that I accidentally dialed to see if I could get a sense of who these people were. But bottom line is, of 292 calls, just a handful really were to people outside of either Harvey or the attorneys. So, and again, no visitors, but I do believe that might be related to the custodial arrangement with her direct observation situation.
Right. I agree with you, especially she's a medical. Right.
Yeah. So
medical 520.
Anyway, I know, maybe it's a rabbit hole not worth going down, but it's fascinating to see, this new life that Donna Adelson is getting used to, may never get used to, is forced to get used to. And so these little tidbits, I think, help us do that, help us get a little insight into that. And a lot of folks are gleeful at every piece of misery that they think she is enjoying right now. I mean, they couldn't be happier. So,
well, it's interesting that at least on these logs, there's no more calls to her friends. I'm sure her friends agreed to testify as to what they knew. Maybe they don't believe that she was involved, or they can't believe that she
got a raw deal, or that's
they believe that that she may have known something, but that she didn't arrange it. Who the heck knows? But I still think that if you have the courage and you are a friend and all you're talking about is the facts, I know I'll take a lot of heat for this on our chatters here, that it takes a lot of courage to get up there and tell what you know, because we do have cases, and I'm not saying this is one of them, where there are wrongful convictions and people have to get up and testify, and then they get, they get attacked and they get cross-examined and they get this and they get probed or doxed. And it turns out that it's a wrongful conviction. So those cases do exist. I'm not saying that's one of them, but just we have to be careful when we attack people who are just responding to the court process. It's no different than attacking a juror.
Yeah, and you never know what these folks are thinking. Put yourself in her position. You have a very good friend who's been accused of this heinous act, and you hope it's not true, but maybe you think it could be true. It's just, I can't imagine having a close friend, thrust into that situation of their own doing or not, and have to decide where you fall on it. Right. When you want to think the best, but the evidence suggests otherwise. It's tough. Anyway, so when we get those calls, we'll review them and share them if they seem to be worthwhile.
Good job, Michael Bryan. Again, good job.
I'm giving all credit to Leon County because they're responsive. Although I am a cynical nature because I'm an attorney. It turns you a bit cynical or suspicious, or you want to trust but verify. So when they say they don't have something, I always wonder, and maybe it's because of the Fonnie Willis factor. Because she just flat ass lies about what they do have and don't have when you make a request. And speaking of that, we'll have Ashley Merchant on next week. What a weird tie-in that is. But yeah, we'll get caught up with Ashley Merchant next week.
Yeah, and if you want to go back and look at some of our content, we discussed this with Doug Weinstein on our Thursday night show. So if you want to look at some content there, take a look at that.
Yep, and the week just passed has been a pretty amazing group of folks we've had on, from Aidan Carney to Melanie Little to Mark Betterow to Doug Weinstein. So I don't even know why we're here. Why are we here? Just
because
have those people on.
We're also working on a surprise guest for next week that hopefully we'll be in a position to announce. So.
Oh yes, I remember that surprise. We'll see. Fingers crossed. All right then. Until next time, I'm Michael Bryant. That's Linda Kenny Bodden. We are Justice Served TV. Please try to do the right thing.